What's up, everybody? It's your boy Melvin for another classic review. Today I'm be talking about thoughts on an Aardman animated short film that became a series and a series of advertisements called Creature Comforts. First made their original appearance in 1989 and continuing to this day. But before we begin, did you subscribe? Did you hit the bell? If so, you want to talk about your daily life? How's it going? Want to sip a cup of tea, coffee, soda, beer? Let's have a nice chat, shall we? So let's talk about it. Okay, so Creature Comforts is a British adult stop-motion comedy mockumentary franchise started all the way back in 1989, which the film matched zoo animals with a soundtrack of people talk about their homes, make it appear as the animals were being interviewed about their living conditions. It was created by Nick Park and Aardman Animation, and the film later became the basis of a series of television advertisements for the electricity boards in the UK. And in 2003, a television series in the same style was released, and an American version was also made as well. The original Creature Comforts short film was 5 minutes and a few seconds long and was conceived and directed by Nick Park and produced by Aardman Animation, featuring the voices of British non-actors in the same vein as The Man in the Streets Vox Pop interviews. It was produced as part of a series called Lip Sync for Channel 4. The film won Nick Park the Academy Award for Best Animated Short Film. This is the one that actually beat Wallace and Gromit: A Grand Day Out back in that same year. The film shows various animals in a zoo being interviewed about their living conditions. These include Tracy, a depressed gorilla, a Brazilian puma, a mother opossum, a young hippo who complains about the cold weather, poor quality of their enclosure, and the lack of space and freedom. By contrast, a tarsier, Alex, a former circus chicken, a turtle, an armadillo, praises their enclosure for the comfort and security they bring. A family of polar bears, particularly one named Andrew, talk about both the advantage and disadvantage of the zoos for the welfare of animals. Fun fact, this was actually voiced by an actual kid. A random kid. Not an actor, a random kid. But continuing. Rather than the subject being being one-sided or biased towards the one viewpoint, there are strong balances of opinions in the film, with some interviewees who are happy with the living situations, and some who are not, and some who have a neutral opinion. The voice of each character performed by residents of both a housing estate and an old people's home. The stop-motion animation was then used to animate each character, and the answers given in the interviews were put in context as zoo animals. The polar bears were voiced by a family who owned a local shop, actually a butcher shop, while the puma was voiced by a Brazilian student who was living in the UK but missed his home country in South America. Now we head for the advertisements. In 1990, Nick Park worked with Phil Rylance and Paul Cardwell to develop a series of British television advertisements for the electricity board's Heat Electric campaign. Sorry about that. The creative team of advertising agencies, GGK, has seen the original Creature Comforts film and were hugely impressed by it. They were conceived that the series of short films modeled on the original film would be ideally suited to television advertising, as long as the advertising was handled with sufficient sensitivity to preserve the integrity and charm of Park's work. The initial result of their collaboration and was 3:30 three 30-second Creature Comforts advertisements made in the same style as the original film. This led to a series. Although there have been a tradition of Vox Pop advertisements going back to the soap powder adverts of the 1960s, Creature Comforts series was distinctive in the juxtaposition of real-life dialogue and animated creatures. The series featured a variety of enduring plasticine animals, including a tortoise, a cat, a family of penguins, and a Brazilian parrot. The characters were sent in their own domestic settings, chatting to an unseen interviewer behind a large microphone. The characters' dialogue was obtained by taking tape recordings of everyday people talking about their comforts and benefits of the electrical appliances in their homes, and then using extracts of these, complete with pauses, false starts, repetitions, hesitations, and unscripted use of language such as easily turn off and unable. Selected interviewees spoke in a range of down-to-earth regional accents, and the overall effect was neutral conversation. The advert's warm, cozy tone reflected the warmth of homeliness of central heating. There was a certain charm about the animation, with their quirky humor and sharpness of observation, such as the antics of non-speaking characters in an odd little thing happening in the background. The animation had an unusual expressiveness, with wit often coming from the nuisance, such as a dog scratching his ear at a particular moment. The characterization was strengthened by having each voice carefully matched to a suitable animal in a combination that would produce a memorable impact. These features were rounded off by genetic closing voiceover spoken by Johnny Morris. Morris appealed especially to older audiences who would remember him and his animal conversations on the television program Animal Magic. The campaign was a great success. It was extended over 3 years. The advertisements received critical acclaim with their advertising industry, with Park, Rylance, and Cardwell picking up many top creative awards in Europe and America, including the Best Commercial of the Year in the 1991 British Television Advertising Awards and the Most Outstanding European Campaign in the 1991 D&Ad Europe Awards. In fact, Creature Comforts was subsequently voted by media professionals in leading trade outlets, Marketing and Brand Republic, as one of the top television advertisements of the last 50 years. As well as attaining a high level of viewer recall, the advertisements were much loved, particularly the ones involved Frank the Tortoise, Carol the Cat, and Pablo the Penguin, in awarding them a place in the 100 best British ads of the century. The UK's leading advertising journal Campaign commented, "The power of a campaign which can make consumers feel warm towards a utility cannot be underestimated." Many popular awards won by the Creature Comforts advertisements include being voted fourth in the all-time 100 greatest television ads by readers of the Sunday Times and viewers of Channel 4 on April of 2000. Their position among the classic advertisements of British television was confirmed when Creature Comforts was voted fourth in ITV's Best Ever Adverts by viewers at ITV in 2005. Finally, YouGov survey during 2006, Creature Comforts topped the list of the UK's all-time favorite animated or puppet characters used in adverts. The Creature Comfort advertisements have have now attained a place in popular culture and are probably better remembered than the original film that they spawned them. However, it claimed that many members of the public mistakenly remembered the commercials as advertising gas heating, the main competitor to electricity. There have been influences like Creature Comforts advertisements were produced in the periods of around 1990 and 92. In some ways, they were indicative excuse me, of the shape of things to come in British television advertising. Many commenters believe they was a fundamental shift in television advertising from the unbridled consumerism and egoism of the 1980s to what is sometimes termed as a more caring approach in the 1990s. Creature Comforts advertisements are cited as an early example of this phenomenon. The format of Creature Comforts advertisements was so successful that it was replicated in other campaigns in the following decades. In later years, however, members of the public became increasingly conscious of the potential use of their vox pop interviews. This made it difficult to recapture the spontaneity and innocence of the early Creature Comfort advertisements. Although lookalike animation became relatively commonplace in television advertisements, they were usually unscripted and rarely possessed the painstaking attention to detail of the original advertisement. The credits were directed by Nick Park, directed by Nick Fordham, art directors Phil Rylance and Newly Brothwell, and writers Paul Cardwell and Kim Durant Hollenby. There was a series back in 2003, which was directed by Richard Golsowski, was made for the British television network ITV by Aardman Animation. The series was since aired as repeats on Comedy Central, usually late at night, starting in 2005. It has also aired in Australia in the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, or ABC, in the Netherlands on Veronica, on pay television channel, US TV, and the internet, as well as Aardman's Animation YouTube channel. A 30-minute special in which the regular characters attempt to perform and interpret the Christmas Carol, The 12 Days of Christmas, was aired in the 25th of December 2005. The special was broadcast in Canada on the CBC on the 26th of December 2005. Which, of course, humor pervades all aspects of the series. For example, a highly philosophical speech given by Inamoba, an alligator praising her neighborhood, the sewer, animals being scared of their own habitats like aquaphobic sharks, and walruses and birds afraid of heights, etc. Background details such as insects swarming into a gap into a paving stone, while when a slug mimics a bird call, gray aliens blinking in unison, a lab mouse being interviewed while another mouse with a human ear on his back walks by. The series generally mocks the constructive performances sometimes given by members of the general public when being interviewed for television Vox Box and documentaries. This includes the attempt to present a cogent but simple, conclusive answers to the general question, a soundbite, and attempts to present a cheery spin on a complex issue while subject attempts to hide their personal issues and problems with the issues. The series is currently repeated on Gold. Which, yeah. And there's been 2 series which, mentioning a whole lot of characters, different animals. There was an American version, which, of course, it didn't, when it first came back in 2007, it was there on CBS, but it was canceled because of low ratings. It made 7 episodes, but only 3 were broadcasted. But later, it was re-aired again on Animal Planet back in 2008, releasing all the original 7 episodes. It also earned it was retitled called Creature Comforts America, which in 2008 Animal Planet picked up the first season of the American version, which of course won an Emmy Award for Outstanding Animated Program for programming less than 1 hour. But it lost in the Emmys back in, I think it was back in, it was actually nominated but lost to The Simpsons. Which, of course, Teresa Drilling, one of the show's many animators, won an individual Emmy Award for Outstanding Individual Achievement in Animation. Which we have the American version staff, including executive producers Ked Boss, Miles Bulow, Peter McHugh, Dave Sproxton, Peter Lord, and Nick Park. Producers Kenny Mika, Gareth Owen, story editors Chad Carter, June Raffel, Casey Wilson, writers Kid Boss, Chad Carter, Michael Dugan, Ben Stout, June Raphael, Casey Wilson, and directors David Osman and Merlin Crossingham. There was another one called Creature Discomfort, which the series of 4 adverts highlight disabilities and featuring the voice of disabled people telling of their experience, premiered on ITV on Christmas Day of 2007, and 4 more ads featuring new characters debuted in summer of 2008. A new advert created by Born Free Foundation highlighted the experience of animals in the lockdown during the COVID-19 pandemic. Jesus fuck. Imagine that people that are like, how are you doing through this pandemic? When did the pandemic start? Like in 2020, and how long it's been? 2 years? You might try it in the Looney House. You might get more from there. But yeah. And those are my thoughts on Creature Comforts. And this actually spawned from an original short film to adverts became popular. And now on the internet, you see those episodes on YouTube. You check it out now. Go. Shoot. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Creature Comforts. And I'm going to ask my fans from the UK, did you enjoy this? Did you like these adverts when they show up? Did you get a chance to see one of them? As for the rest, the reason I didn't ask you, because this mostly aired in the UK. And yeah, there's some Animal Planet, but I don't like that version. It looks weird. It lost that certain charm that the original had. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you think of Creature Comforts, sorry. But yeah, if you're new to the channel, remember to subscribe, hit the bell, like this video. And remember, our goal is to hit 1 million subscribers, or at least 500k, because by May of this year is our 11th anniversary from 2013 to 2023. So let's do this. Let's make it happen. Until then, have a great day, everybody. See ya. Peace out.